Hello folks, it is Monday, July 3rd, 2017, and it's time for your weekly video. Got the window open, hear some birds chirping. I guess you can say it's 4th of July Eve, if you will, if that's such a thing. As you know, 4th of July is, the big Independence Day, shoot off fireworks, eat food on the grill, all that good stuff. So if you're in the United States, Happy Independence Day. If you're not in the United States, happy July 4th, July 3rd, your week, whatever you're watching here. So I wanted to show some records. I got a bunch of stuff to show you. Did some record shopping and then also did some thrift store shopping, I guess you could say. One thing that, there's just some strange things out there right now. Some threads that are going on that are kind of just hitting me kind of weird. This whole record collecting thing, like when does it end? You know what I mean? Like when is enough enough? Jerry, the owner of Jerry's Records in Pittsburgh, obviously one of the biggest record stores in Pittsburgh. He's stepping down at the end of the month, so each visit is sort of, kind of does some things to your head. Anyhow, so I'll show a couple of things that I got. This is one of my thrift store scores, I guess you could say. This is The Wonderful World of Antonio Carlos Jobim. So probably most noted for Girl from Ipanema with Getz and Gilberto. So his album sort of sounds the same. I mean, he played guitar. Really only has about maybe like 3 albums. I mean, he had his debut, I think it was on Verve. He played on the Getz and Gilberto album. Then he sort of got his this album, which came out in 1965, I believe. Catalog number on the Warner Brothers. It's on the Warner Brothers Gold label. It's 1611, which the first Grateful Dead record is 1689. Probably the most noted one on here is She's a Karaoke. But there's just some great stuff, just the way that he sings, and it's just sort of that real 60s sort of bossa nova vibe. Definitely worth picking up. I read Nelson Riddle was saying that he thought this was like the best album that Nelson arranged, so definitely a great album. I'm excited to find that. Let's see. So next on the list, so pretty much a lot of these are more, I guess you could say, and this is what I'm finding these days. I mean, I think, the days of finding garage rock and even, 70s rock, this just don't happen anymore. But there's still some great stuff from the 60s, and I think, time and time again, I think that's what I've tried to prove with my channel. I know that we've sort of taken all kinds of different excursions in different directions, but if you want stuff from the 60s, I will show you, I will teach you. So the next one, this is the Baltimore and Ohio Marching Band, Lapland, which, to the untrained eye, somebody would think this is just a regular marching band record, and actually, oddly enough, this was sort of amongst a bunch of local symphonic high school band records. It's on Jubilee, which, Jubilee, you have, the Fifth Estate and the Racket Squad. You have the Jaggers put out a few, did they put on? Yeah, no, they were on Gamble. I'm sorry. Scratch that. Jubilee, I think he has the Blades of Grass, I think we're on Jubilee. There was a lot of bands that weren't, I think even that one record I showed not too long ago. I don't have it up here. There's a lot of bands that were on Jubilee Records that they just didn't really get their due. These guys are probably most noted for either Lapland or there's a song that was a Northern Soul hit, which was called Condition Red, which did not appear on this album or their other album. So this is their first album. The other one was the music from comics. Most of it is so Condition Red is like a Northern Soul sort of like instrumental kind of. It's not really like a soul tune, but it's like I guess you could kind of think of it sort of as like a roller skating, like I don't know, that's what we did in the United States, something you'd roller skate to. Most of the stuff on here is, like it's kind of like kazoos with like a real marching band sort of. It's like it's kind of like sunshine pop, sort of like the Archies. There's no lyrics to it; it's all instrumental stuff. But they have the Yellow Rose of Texas, Do Re Mi, Girl Watcher's Theme. Lapland sounded a lot like Ding Dong the Witch is Dead that the Fifth Estate sang, which of course is on which was also on Jubilee Records, so probably most noted for that. So that was a cool one. Next this is the second album by the Brass Ring. I think I showed another one not too long ago. So the Brass Ring were on Dunhill, sort of like the Baja Marimba band, but it was more, they kind of had like two saxophones which sort of played the lead. So whereas the Baja Marimba band sort of has like this sort of Mexican vibe, Spanish flair, I guess you could say. The Brass Ring was more like a saxy kind of soulful thing. So the cool stuff about this is like, this is sort of like the 60s. The Brass Ring did commercials for Benson's and Hedges, which was a kind of cigarettes. This is, you get like this sunshiny, like, so like while the psychedelic stuff is going on and the garage bands are going on in California, this is sort of like that sunshiny, drive around in the car sort of elevator music, and this stuff is great. And the best part about this is it actually has Lapland on this, which I had no idea. I just saw that the other day. Laura's Theme, of course, on here is the big one. California Dreaming is also on here, and Guantanamo. So some great tunes. I love this kind of stuff. Again, this isn't garage rock. This isn't heavy psychedelic, whatever. But to me, this holds a certain place. In the '60s music, this stuff needs to be sort of recognized for what it was. So some might say crap, but whatever. Speaking of which, so I got another one by the Baja Marimba band. I say another one. I got same place I got one of the other ones, but this is Watch Out. I haven't listened to this yet, so I'm not really too sure what's on here. Ghost Riders in the Sky. Can't say anything else that I know on here, I guess. This is on A&M 118, so if you remember a video that I did a long time ago where, think about the first, the first 20 of the A&M releases were either the Baja Marimba Band or Her About Tijuana Brass. So, cool stuff. Okay, so now these are like the record store finds. So those were all $1. These were $4 to like $7, I think, something like that. I think I paid $35 for them all, so you can figure it out. I got 6 records here, so do the math. So the first one, and this is sort of for the Bob Dylan fans. This is Scarlet Rivera's first album. I think she only had about 3 albums. This one is from 1977. So Scarlet Rivera played the violin for the Rolling Thunder Review. So that's like, the Bob Dylan, the 1976, 77, 75, 76, I think. That tour. Let me see, I have it right up there. I don't actually, I'm sorry. Definitely 76, 75, 76, somewhere around in there. Like the Blood on the Tracks, Desire kind of tour. So she was in the Rolling Thunder Review. But this is her solo album. She kind of, there's a little like liner note here that sort of talks about her, just discovering Dylan, and they were just walking. He was going one way, she was going the other. The best way that I can describe this, and I've listened to it the entire way through. It's a little on the proggy side, I guess you could say, as far as with the drums and things like that. But it sounds like interlude music. Like you could play, if you think of Desire, like if you would just put instrumentals in between it, it sort of sounds the same thing. You can tell that they were trying to, harness Dylan's sound, but a cool thing. I don't necessarily would say go out of your way to pick it up, but if you come across it, it's definitely uh, a nice little treat. Um, this one was, I mean, I don't have much Woody Guthrie, so Woody Guthrie, the early years. This is on Tradition, Everest. Um, Columbus Stockades on this one. Stack Lee, Cumberland Gap, Old Time Religion with Cisco, Houston, and Sonny Terry. So that was cool. The next one here, an exceptionally clean copy. This is Mother Maybelle Carter, so of course, part of the Carter family. She released a couple of albums in the early 60s to like the late 70s, started, basically Johnny Cash took her on tour with June Carter, sort of as he was getting clean. This is on the Cumberland label. It's kind of weird because I thought at first it was like a Mercury record because it's sort of like the styling of it is like how Mercury basically does that. Mercury label, I guess, but it's on Cumberland, so that's cool. There's some good tunes on this one. Wildwood Flower, Little Darling Pal of Mine, Foggy Mountaintop, Nobody's Darling on Earth. So there's some great tunes on that one too. So some country kind of folk stuff. This is one Ernest Tubb record that I didn't have. This is the daddy of them all, Ernest Tubb. This is a pretty early one. I want to say I don't really want to put a date on it, but I want to say 50. I'm not sure offhand. I didn't look it up beforehand, but it's like probably like 56 maybe or 57. So it's really cool to get this super clean copy of this. So I pretty much have all of Ernest Tubb's records that he put out, which is great. And then I got two Folkways records. The first one is Songs and Dances of Brittany. And of course it's in the UK, I believe. Don't quote me. So this looked like fun. So I'm just, anytime I could find Folkways, has the booklet and everything like that, it's worth picking up. So, 1957. Originally copyrighted. I think this one might be like some press from somewhere in the 60s. 66. All right, and the last one, and what better way to bring in Independence Day than American Revolutionary War songs to cultivate the sensations of freedom. So, as I say, you can't think about Creedence Clearwater Revival without thinking of an American flag flapping in the breeze. So, again, just some fun stuff. I love the Folkways stuff. The wood cutting print on his is great. So I believe this one's from like 1976. It was a white label promo. Couldn't pass it up. So there it is. So hope you guys have a great week. Short week for most of us here in the United States. And be very careful with those fireworks out there. And we'll see you on down the trail.